Welcome everybody here to today's session with our good friends at Quadient. You see here on the screen just a little bit of housekeeping. As Esther's also said in the chat, that today's session will be recorded for Callisto accreditation. The recording will be available in the Callisto membership in a few days from now. Always with our credit clinics, we encourage interactivity. So we'd like to hear from everybody who's joining us today. So please share your thoughts, your observations, and your opinions via the chat, or indeed, if you want also to vocalize, to talk to us as well, we'd be very happy for that as well. To get going, then, to get in the mood, we have a warm-up question, which please answer it in the chat. The question is your company using AI in credit or order to cash right now? And if so, in what way are you using it? So if you can just give us a rough idea of what you're doing at the moment, that'll be handy for all of us just to see what's going on in the AI world. So for now, it's my privilege to hand over to Sarah Jane Martin, who will kick off and then hand over to Laura in a little while. So over to you, Sarah Jane.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to our webinar, Transforming CFO Operations with AI-Driven Financial Automation. So we're going to start with some introductions. So I will go first. So my name is Sarah Jane Martin. I am the Global Director of AR Practice at Quadient. I have about 20 years of experience in the order to cash field myself, so was a practitioner, owned many of those AR related initiatives. And as you may be able to tell, I am based in the USA, in Chicago, but actually dream of living somewhere warmer. Let me hand you over to my co-host, Laura Elliston.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Elliston. I'm Senior Manager of Product Marketing at Quadient. I've got around 10 years of experience working in product marketing within the technology industry, with 5 years of that within the accounts receivable space. Like Sarah Jane, I also live in a cold, rainy climate. I'm based in London, UK. I'm passionate about bringing innovative solutions to market and advancing technologies that make financial automation easy and fun.
Right, I think to kick off, we do have a poll. So let's launch that poll. Yep, we can see it. So the question is, how comfortable do you feel about using AI? Very confident, confident, unsure, or not at all? Getting those results in right now. Oh, looks like we've got a confident group of folks on the call today. All right, so it looks like we have most of the folks on the call are confident, and some are unsure, and some are very confident. So that is excellent. All right, so before Laura talks about how AI is changing your life in the finance department, I just want to do a level set on the marketplace evolution so far. So nearly 40 years after the premiere of The Terminator, in 1984, OpenAI launched ChatGPT, and the hysteria was on. Arnold was coming for you and also for your job, and the end was near. Except artificial intelligence wasn't really new. So for instance, if you're using an iPhone, a tablet, or a laptop with facial recognition software today, you're actually already encountering AI. The tech obviously scans and maps your face, and then compares it with a previous image to make sure that it's you so that it can unlock your device. And there's also other ways that we're using AI today. So text editors like Grammarly or even grammar recommendations through a program like Microsoft Word are another example. So in that case, the software uses an algorithm to scan documents for incorrect grammar usage and then obviously makes suggestions. And finally, if you use social media, you're probably also experiencing AI. So that's how apps like LinkedIn or Instagram personalize your feed. They analyze your past interactions with their app, and then they use that to inform and curate new content for you. So AI has been quietly there for a while, driving technology-based automation and efficiencies for much longer than most people actually realize. But once the genie was out of the bottle in 2022 and everyone was falling over themselves to discuss how and where they were using AI in their software. So that's B2B and also within B2C. And of course, companies were also touting their AI-powered product, especially in their roadmaps, and it was all quickly became a lot of noise. But now companies are starting to look at the human side because their buyers are wondering if AI is really so powerful and smart, and how's it going to make their lives better or easier or even more fulfilled? And how can it deliver more work-life balance and possibly even help them with their careers? So that's what we're going to talk about today, and we're calling it AI, the New Frontier. So what is that exactly? Well, a 2024 study of workers using AI by the International Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development found that 63% say that using AI has increased their work enjoyment. 80% say that employing AI has improved their job performance. And 50% say that AI has improved their overall mental health by reducing stress and burnout. So we can literally call that a win-win-win. And with that, Laura is going to start with a story about her friend George. But I think before that happens, we may have another quick poll question for you.
Okay, so while we wait for the poll to pop up, this is George. I'd like to introduce you to George. He's a very special friend of mine. Please go ahead and answer the poll. So which of the following is a primary goal for you in your company? So streamlining processes, reduce inefficiencies, manage cash flow, or free up time to focus on strategy. I know they're all important. Please pick your favorite.
The answers are coming in. It's a pretty even race right now. All right, it looks like reducing inefficiencies has taken the lead, just by a nose though, so not any one of those is standing out as a clear front runner. All right, it looks like the majority of you are looking to reduce inefficiencies.
Excellent. Okay, so with George, we'll see how that can be done. We go to the next slide. So I'm going to take you back in time today to February 2020, so just over 5 years ago. George is currently the Order to Cash Director at Acme Limited, which is a UK tech company. He joined when the company was a startup and he helped it grow. And with that, his responsibilities increased. So now in 2020, he manages billing and collections. He handles 50 clients a month. They're all using kind of printed invoices and he's using Excel to manage everything. The company has high growth goals. So as they're expanding and gaining more clients, his team are really struggling to keep up. They tend to lose hours on follow-ups, which is really frustrating their customers, as many of those customers have already sent their payments, but the cash remains unapplied. And there's only one staff member whose job it is to manually scan checks. They get a lot of checks and it's simply not enough. So the checks are kind of piling up. George is constantly asked by his CFO for different types of reports, but gathering data on accounts receivable and payments takes George a full day. The process is really, really manual. He's unsure how he can improve it or how he can get better cash flow. George actually is also responsible for managing purchase order approvals and balancing payments to protect working capital. So to recap, the pressure is on. George needs to do the following. He needs to streamline processes. He needs to reduce those inefficiencies, manage cash flow, and free up his time to focus on strategy. So just a few things really. But let's jump forward to the present day. So it's 2025 and it's been 5 years since we last checked in on George. A lot has changed. Obviously, we had a global pandemic within that time, so you can now see he's working from home, which is his new normal. And he's just started a new job. He's got a promotion. He's now become the regional CFO of Acme Limited, which, as you remember, used to be a small startup. Now, 5 years later, it's a mid-sized, recognizable UK brand, which is expanding into mainland Europe. George earned this role by transforming AR with AI-powered software. So now he oversees finance, procurement, payroll, HR, IT compliance, and data security. And actually, he has time for all of this due to the increased efficiencies brought about by his new software suite. One of George's first tasks is in his new role as CFO is ensuring that invoices comply with applicable e-invoicing laws. In a Teams meeting, his billing manager praises the smooth EU expansion, which is supported by a document automation and preparation platform. George then meets with his accounts receivable manager, who reports that days sales outstanding, DSO, has dropped by 50%. And they're actually also seeing a decrease in complaints from customers, and they're able to manage delinquent accounts with highly personalized, effective collection strategies. Finally, we remember that a challenge for George in the old world was forecasting. Forecasting has actually improved a lot. Forecasting now delivers highly precise cash flow predictions, and his team and his customers, are able to make payments in multiple currencies and a lot faster. With AI-powered AR, the team has decreased their invoice processing costs by more than 80%. And George now approves invoices in seconds through a streamlined dashboard, a task that once took hours. So George is now preparing for a board review. Everything is connected via a single sign-on entry point. So he can actually access live cash in and cash out dashboards in one place. So he can really quickly and easily compile data on cash flow, expenses, and working capital. So he knows that he can attend this meeting armed with the intel he needs to answer any tricky questions. So we'll leap forward another 5 years to 2030. So things have changed a little bit more. You can see on his LinkedIn profile, he's been promoted yet again. George is now the global CFO of Acme, and he oversees operations across the Americas, EMEA, and APAC. So we've now become a massive global enterprise. His team manages compliant e-invoices in all regions where regulations have been enforced, customer payments in multiple currencies, multilingual communications to customer teams around the globe, and global sales expenses for a traveling team. So here's a typical day in his new role in the future. George gets a phone prompt about an upcoming meeting, but his AI assistant predicts that it could have been an email. So George just goes ahead and sends AI in his place, and he knows he can get that summary afterwards. While the meeting is running in the background, he asks his AI assistant again to create a board review presentation. It's meeting time again, and the board want to know the company's cash position. Within seconds, he receives a polished slide deck, including all of those financial data and predictions that he will need. The AI goes ahead and shares that pre-read with the board, so preempting any questions that George might get. And the AR managers as well receive the deck. Any feedback that comes back is summarized from those contacts into the appendix slide for review at the meeting. Later on, George joins an urgent holographic call with his AR and customer success managers. So they discuss a major client who's predicted to leave in a year, and they go ahead and create a VIP retention strategy with AI's help. George approves that strategy, and at the same time, he just verbally commands an approval for all vendor invoice payments up to a certain amount using voice commands, which is saving enormous amounts of time. So we can see that we've kind of got everything a lot more personalized, a lot more tailored, and a lot more efficient.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for the story on George. So let's just think about where you were 5 years ago in your career and also in your personal life. Now, think about the pace of technology change in both of those places and imagine in which your life and work could have been made easier with better technology. So think about how much easier they are now and how cool it could be in as few as 5 years. We say that the beauty and strength of AI is in how you're able to live your life and go through your day. There's less stress, there's less demand on your time, and you have a better work-life balance. And you're more fulfilled because you're doing proactive, strategic tasks using next-level intelligence to support the business in ways you did dream of, but didn't dare aspire to because of lack of time and lack of capability in the information and tech space.
So before we go any further, I want you to close your eyes and really imagine what your team's new AI frontier could look like. Close your eyes for a minute, let your mind wander. What do you see yourself doing? How do you feel? How do you look? I hope you're smiling because your work is now more fulfilling to both you and your business. So that's in terms of how many hours you're dedicating and what you're dedicating them to. So here are 3 ways in which your job could soon be totally transformed with AI. Number 1, you are working with sales really closely to move past knee-jerk credit risk alerts and understand and react when payment habits change with earliest recognition and a highly customized response. Number 2, you're modeling cash flow, predicting payments in and out with pinpoint accuracy, and exploring spend opportunities that support growth. And number 3, you are freeing up countless team hours with exception-based AR, where invoices and payments flow effortlessly and automatically, and the system detects and flags problem items for manual intervention. So I think we have another poll question about to pop up.
Yep, I was about to say it's time to launch another poll. So which of these options do you do in your current role? So data extraction and integration, payment initiation, invoice matching, or none of these? And I'm still imagining my future here, Laura.
Me too.
Maybe.
I hope the future is sunnier and warmer for both of us.
I am smiling as I think about it. All right, so a lot of data extraction and integration going on. A couple of folks doing none of those things, invoice matching, payment initiation. All right, so it looks like we're leading with data extraction and integration. All right, fantastic. Okay, so let's talk about what you can reasonably expect on the AR side from AI today. So here's our take on what would be the minimal viable AR powered AR in 2025. That's a bit of a tongue twister. So AI needs to extract data from invoices to minimize manual data entry and accelerate overall processing. AI should also be able to initiate payments based on invoice data and rules, which would reduce the need for employee intervention in the accounts payable space. AI should also match invoices with purchase orders and receipts to decrease the risk of human error in those critical tasks. And remember, the goal is to improve your ecosystem satisfaction by reducing errors that can damage vendor relationships and eliminate mundane tasks to free your team up for more meaningful work. And while AI can automate many aspects of AR and AP, it actually cannot replace the value of human communication and cooperation. But with your extra time, you can ensure that you're getting the best possible terms and pricing and supporting the overall vendor experience. Oh, and by the way, with AI-powered payments, ensuring timely payables, your suppliers are going to be that much more open to talking with you. And now if we look at the AI in the AR space, so automated workflows and predictive analytics, text scanning and processing, and content generation are all synonymous with AI. And they're also core to the best-in-class AR automation software. So you may already be reaping the benefits of artificial intelligence. If, however, you are not, and you might need a use case specific insights to help you understand what to look for in an AI-driven accounts receivable solution, here are some suggestions for you. So in terms of cash application, we need to extract the necessary remittance data and then match that with your customers and your invoice data in real time. You also would look for something around revenue support, so things that identify which accounts are most likely to struggle with on-time payments, fostering up-to-the-minute customer credit risk information. Should also have something around dispute management, so automatically scans, assess, and routes those invoice disputes to the correct person so that you can resolve those quickly. And then in terms of payments, it needs to analyze payer behavior to predict payment dates and assign payment probabilities both by customer and by invoice. So with AR, the key is to use AI to focus your efforts on boosting efficiency and decision making. And that's going to free up you and your team's time from those tedious tasks and frustrating follow-ups, which is actually going to create a place where employees can focus on the work that elevates both the business health and also their personal fulfillment. And when you give folks the tools to succeed, they usually do.
So let's take a look at a real life George. So even though George was he was an AI man, he is actually based on a few different customers that we have spoken to who have used AI and software solutions to further their own careers while enhancing the success of their business. So CPL is Ireland's largest and oldest talent solutions provider with over 30 years in business and 46 offices across the EU. But the company faced numerous challenges due to its continued reliance on manual AR processes. Related tasks were time-consuming for both CPL and its customers, not to mention labour-intensive and prone to error. The result was a significant strain on both internal workflows and internal and external relationships. But after implementing Quadient accounts receivable 2 years ago, the team improved more than their DSO and cash flow. In fact, they realized that Quadient's AI features were a game changer. So these were the IT manager's exact words. And the CFO said that the software's AI capabilities have provided unparalleled financial visibility, enabling more informed data-driven decision-making and better forecasting that has strengthened their overall financial stability and ensured more predictable and sustainable growth. Plus, this shift to higher value tasks and customer engagement has actually allowed the AR team to evolve from a back office function to a true business partner, facilitating stronger collaboration between finance and sales and a proactive approach to the company's AR challenges. So the main contact that we spoke to at CPL, he actually earned, I think, 3 promotions in the sort of 5 years of working with Quadient. Similar to George, actually. So he really rose through the ranks because he was able to demonstrate success in each role that he held through use of intelligent technology, just like this one. So a really, really exciting story from both the personal level and the business level. So just wanted to run through the power of the possible, really, with Quadient. So we actually process around 5 million inbound accounts receivable emails via Quadient AR. That's across our entire customer base, which ends up saving around 3,408 employee hours per company per year on average. So that's quite a lot of headcount savings there. So you can obviously redirect employees then to better engineer their time to work on more value-added tasks. Our main use cases here with AI, so all inbound accounts receivable emails are automatically categorized according to the subject matter. And when those emails contain remittance data, they are then auto-allocated to payments. We have a data and predictive model. Each customer environment is closed loop. So it means it learns from your specific customer behaviors. It doesn't take into account any irrelevant customer data from other instances. So it means that all the predictions you receive and your AI makes is entirely relevant to you. And that leads to increased profitability with zero human intervention required for a lot of processes. Identification, analysis, and generation of responses to customer emails can all be conducted with our AI. And through that as well, the platform delivers faster AI-assisted cash application to those open invoices.
Fantastic. Thank you, Laura.
Yep.
So now we have time for some questions. So if there's any questions that have been dropped in the chat or any other, if anyone wants to raise their hand, now would be the time.
There is an awful lot to go through. As you guys, it was a really, really nice presentation. Thank you. Very nicely put. And I was trying to keep up actually with comments coming through from the audience and also some observations I was trying to make on my own as well. And I realized I can't actually read my own writing, but I'll have a go. But no, a lot of good stuff there. I think when the case study just now, and you were saying about it being with CPL and it being a success story. And one of the things we talk a lot about in Callisto is a lot of companies say the projects fail. But I often think that's because they don't actually know where they're starting from and where they're going. So they don't actually know when they've been successful. So in this particular case, there was was there very definite kind of milestones, objectives, that DSO would go down by X or overdues would go down by X or free cash would increase, et cetera, et cetera? Was that part of the project?
Yeah, so I can take that one. So, with any of our customers, that's always a discussion that we have right at the beginning when they come to us looking for a solution. We can generally provide sort of um, stats based on the successes of our other customers. So we can kind of like drill into what specifically, our prospective customers are looking for. I think with the case of CPL, they were looking for sort of all of the above. They were wanting to automate their process. They were looking for easier payment options for their customers. They wanted to reduce DSO, improve working capital, etc. So we were able to sort of guide them through that. We obviously knew where they started and where they ended up, and they continue to be a customer. So hopefully things are still continuing to improve in that direction. So we'll generally get a sense of what our prospective customers are looking to achieve, and then sort of provide them with insights on what we've seen be successful. So to your point, I think a lot of times when folks embark on a digital transformation journey, you're right, they don't exactly know what success looks like. But we definitely try and sort of hone in and figure out, what specifically they're looking to achieve, and how we can get them there.
I think that's very much part of the benefits of working with the likes of yourselves, is you've got years of experience of doing
Hmm.
exactly that, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
and I'm sure there's nothing you see that you haven't seen before in some shape or form, for better or for worse.
Yep, that's for sure.
We have there's the dream question for you guys here, I think. Does Quadient offer AI support for collections, like autonomous AI agents that can respond to customer inquiries?
Yep. So Laura, do you want to take that or you want me to take it?
Yes, so I can take that one. So we actually we were the first to market to bring generative AI into the platform. So while the categorization of emails is autonomous, so as emails kind of come into the communications inbox within the platform, which again, that can be linked to your accounts receivable team inbox, whether that's hosted on Outlook, Gmail, wherever that is, we can kind of integrate those. So all communications come into the platform. All of those emails can then be kind of read through OCR, categorized, whether it's kind of dispute, question, and so on. And then you can kind of click the categories to filter and action specific items in your inbox. In terms of the construction and replies to emails, you can click reply on an email and you can use generative AI to generate a response. It can kind of pull in personal data to that customer, whether it's a link to their statement, whether it's their invoice number, overdue balance, etc. We are as well working on AI assisted task prioritization. So when you log onto the platform with your fresh cup of coffee in the morning, you can go to your to-do list, and it will have kind of listed out your main priority to-do items today. So that's something that is coming on our roadmap for 2025.
And what about is it possible the future is that there's no need for emails, that a customer can go into the portal and there's a chat bot there and you just basically add your comments there and that would go to the collection team or the dispute team or whatever? Is that like next generation, or is that a possibility?
So that's actually something we offer within the platform today. So there is a customer portal, which the customer has a unique statement link to. So it's not kind of a web-based portal where the customer has to log in with their own username and password. They actually have a unique URL that is only assigned to them. So they can plug that into their browser, really safely like stores their personal address, email address, name, etc. It stores their card details for payment. They can view invoices, pay invoices, and contact the accounts receivable team actually through that portal. And once they've submitted kind of their question or their update or their promise to pay, that's then received by the accounts receivable rep, who can then go on and they can reply that way. So something which we've seen a lot of vendors in the space doing is adopting agentic AI. That's kind of the next generation after generative AI. So rather than kind of just generation, agentic is obviously that agent, your virtual assistant. So that's something that's definitely kind of a future state for the space. But in answer to your first question, we do have that kind of portal ability, which kind of smooths communication. right out the gate, that is available now.
Okay.
Yeah, something I just wanted to add there too is, throughout our conversations with customers and prospective customers, I don't think people are ready yet for the AI to just respond to everything, take action. I think there's definitely a sense of sort of trust but verify currently in the marketplace. I think we're still sort of getting used to the fact that AI can do those things. So generally, what I hear is they love the fact that the communications are categorized. They love the fact that they can generate a reply that would tie in all the relevant data points, but they still kind of want to have the power to sort of push the button. I think we'll see over time, as people become more confident in how the AI responds, that we'll see more of sort of the fully automated process. But today, people are still a little bit tentative, I think, about just letting a bot sort of control their customer communications.
And that's a very good point, because one of the things we certainly here in Callisto we've become aware of, and I think it's a thing now, say with ChatGPT and indeed all the other similar providers, that there's a definite bias, so whatever people are asking, and imagine, this is a global thing, so whatever is kind of cool and trendy, it's skewing the responses in a certain direction, isn't it? So I think,
Mhm.
yeah, and is that one of the main reservations, would you say, why, which I think is absolutely right. I think we should still
Mhm.
be cautious.
Yeah, I think that's certainly one of the things that we hear. I think it's also just, you know, as a business, you want to provide the best customer experience for your customers, obviously, so that they pay you and continue to buy from you. So I think there's also a sense of, the AI doesn't necessarily know, the specifics of a customer, and like, is this a key account, or is it sort of, smaller, sort of more transactional customers. So they just kind of want to have the control to make sure that, there isn't any mishaps with those communications. So I think it's a couple of things, honestly.
There's a couple of other items come through on the chat that are I think they're kind of related. First comment is AI is helping in collections by replying on emails, asking, oh, I think this might, put this as a question. Is AI helping in collections by replying on emails, asking for only for data which is in the system, or is it also involved in complicated problems and escalating more? So not, is it taking literally the information that's on the email, or is it looking at the wider picture? And then the kind of another question that came through separately is, what is the accuracy in providing the right info to the right customer? So this back to the skepticism piece we were just talking about.
So I can take that one.
Yep.
The accuracy one might be slightly simpler, so I'll do that one first, if that's okay. So in terms of cash forecasting across your customer base, we do boast 94% accuracy. So you have that kind of prediction of when the cash is going to come in. In terms of providing the info to the right customer, you can build out your email templates by using smart tags. So if anyone online has worked with kind of an email automation tool, obviously I work in marketing, so this is kind of a familiar thing to me, but you can construct your email template and you can say, "Dear customer," within the email template builder, that field, customer, you can put that in as a smart tag, which means when the email goes out, that bit will automatically populate with the customer's name. For example, you can do that with their statement link that links to the portal, which I mentioned earlier. You can do that with outstanding invoice balance. So basically, because it's all linked to data fields which appear on the customer record, it's 100% accurate. When you send out an email to your customer, if you're using those smart tag fields, then they will be populated automatically with only the information that is applicable to that customer. In terms of the question about whether the AI only uses data which is in the system or involved in complicated problems and escalation. So actually, if a customer kind of emails you and says, what's my outstanding balance, for example, you can construct that reply and you can again pull in more smart tags. So if you wanted to, you can edit the response which AI has generated for you, and you can edit that to say, they've asked about this invoice, but actually, why don't we give them their entire invoice history with us? So you can pull in, again, using smart tags, any information from that customer record that you want to be applicable to that query. In terms of escalation as well, we do have the ability to set up custom workflows within the platform. So obviously, if your customer hits a specific criteria, for example, their credit limit has reached, for example, or they have a dispute that they have raised themselves on the portal, that can go ahead and be escalated to wherever you need it to go. It can go to your manager, it can go to maybe someone in the customer success team. If you're, for example, a manufacturing business and there's a dispute due to kind of a broken product that's arrived, if that can go ahead to your distribution office, for example, for further investigation. So escalation points are also something that you can set up and configure within your environment.
Okay. And the you were saying about the cash forecasting. Is that based on responses and email as well? So it's drawing down information where customers are saying, I'm going to pay you X amount on X day, or is that coming from other sources too?
So it's based on previous customer payment behavior a little bit. So when you first set up your instance with Quadient AR, you can obviously pull in existing kind of payment history and transaction history from your ERP environment. So you can start building kind of a picture of your customer behavior from day one. So that forecast will help you see, out of the customers you have, the ones that have outstanding invoices, when those are likely to be paid based on how quickly those customers have paid you before. SJ, anything to add there? Because you've used this in practice.
Yeah, yeah. So it's pulling on that sort of algorithm, and then it's learning, obviously, the payment behavior of your customers the longer that you're using it. So it gets sort of more and more accurate over time. We're also able to pull in information from third-party sources as well in terms of credit risk. So again, you're getting sort of the view how your customers are behaving with you specifically, and then sort of how they are rated at large in the community. So you're getting different pieces of information that you can then obviously automate decisioning based on those data points.
Okay, so it's taking past information and analyzing it, and you're quite rightly giving predictive analytics there. Here's a similar question on the disputes. I know from my operational experience in the past, trying to actually capture dispute information in one place has largely been a nightmare. If it goes through sales or customer service or anybody apart from the credit and collection teams. So is part of this solution the ability that disputes end up in one place, and they end up in one place very quickly?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a lot of ways for disputes to be logged and tracked. So that can either be by the customer on the portal that Laura mentioned. It can be by an internal user. It could even be generated off of an email that states that there's a dispute, relating to a specific invoice.
Okay.
And then within the solution, we have a sort of a dedicated disputes dashboard. So you can kind of see holistically all of the disputes that are open. You can obviously filter and sort through those based on dispute type or reason or person that's handling it. So kind of bringing that into focus, because in general, outstanding invoices are either missed invoices or there's some problem, right? So getting to the root of what those disputes are and getting them resolved quickly is ultimately how you're going to improve DSO and improve working capital. So it's important to have a line of sight. I think the other reason that resonates with folks is because then you can sort of do reporting on that and get some trend analysis, like why all of a sudden are we seeing a ton of pricing disputes, as an example. Maybe there's something wrong in the ERP that needs to be fixed, right? So it's really providing those sort of insightful pieces of data as well to try and minimize disputes as much as possible.
Absolutely, and would it and part of that would be to connect with like a Salesforce or other equivalent.
Exactly.
So this all becomes one one workflow basically, which is it always was a pain in the past when everything was on so many different places and it was hard to capture it. So, but yeah, great. Thank you for that. I'm going to bring in a couple of other people in a second, but first I'd just like to respond to Brad as well on something that's dear to Callisto, where Brad is saying that a lot of this advanced technology we have now is people more and more are just relying on it. I mean, that's been the case for a long time, since spreadsheets and so on. So the spreadsheet says it's this, therefore it's that. but I think one of the things we still need to be wary of, and is, well, first of all, this brings in the question also of how much is this technology going to impact FTEs? And I think the answer normally is the employees that are upskilling in the right areas, they can actually work with the technology rather than being replaced by it. What we mean for that from the Callisto point of view is you've really got to understand end-to-end business, everything about credit, order to cash, and not just, as seems to be a trend in a lot of companies, where the management are leading people to learn all about how to write programs and AI and all the rest of it, but not skilling people up actually in, what all the ins and outs of accounts payable, all the ins and outs of our profession, right? So I think that in some ways that will actually create a gulf because people are going to be getting involved in AI and tech projects without actually having the experience of what it is they're actually developing, right? So I think that's something we should all certainly be aware of. Yeah. Brad, do you want to add to that, or did I
Yeah,
cover?
I suppose. Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Sarah Laura. The idea that the computer will just simply spit out a response and that gets carried through to your client or other internal stakeholders, your partners, your suppliers. And when it seems it gut feel looks at it and think it looks odd. However, we don't have the skills, the foundations, the thinking in our minds to say, where did this go wrong? We don't have those abilities to be forensic about what the data is saying. Credit scoring in a lot of places is just the credit score is 80 out of 100, and then it drops to 40 out of 100. And the credit bureau, for example, won't give you the reasons why, what drove that dramatic change. I just want to know from your point, in the sense that what have you seen just as you're developing this experience and just as a sort of like as a higher level, and secondly, what would you recommend for people who are putting in these solutions to avoid just being a slave to the dictates and the outputs and the edicts of whatever AI says? We just come too dependent upon it. It's like if Google Maps goes down when you're driving around, you are lost. When in the good old days, you could probably have an idea of what to look for and how to go east, north, west, and south. Most people nowadays would get lost with even just that. So sorry about the rant, but please go on.
I can have a go at this one. So I think there is an argument to be said that humans as a whole have become a lot more dependent on technology than kind of ever before. But I do think that this new age is actually ushering in a new way of thinking, in that we have to be a lot more creative rather than mechanical with our thoughts. So it may be that people in general need kind of to develop a new set of skills, and that workplace skills in the past that may have been kind of overvalued, like having a particularly numerical or analytical mindset, may actually play second fiddle now to those who are a bit more creative in terms of problem solving. Specifically to the case of credit that you mentioned, where the credit bureaus don't give the reasoning, this is where actually using the AI within the Quadient AR platform is particularly good, because you can actually build your own custom credit scorecards. So you can weight the factors yourself according to how important they are to you in determining credit score. So basically, you have a custom credit scorecard template. You can decide that I want my companies that I'm working with to have X number of years in business. I want them to be, a publicly traded company. I want them this, that, the other. You can weight these, give them percentage points, if you will, up to kind of 100%. And that way you can use the external credit data. That's just simply one factor that can be plugged in to the overall credit analysis, along with their history of paying you. So you can actually kind of use that creative thinking to take the data from multiple different sources. And yes, the AI will go ahead and kind of give you the data and consolidate it, so you don't have to go searching, but you can then be kind of creative about how it's applied and where you take it from there. So that's kind of an applied use case, really. And I do think kind of creative thinking is the way forward. And you mentioned it kind of generates emails and spits that out to the customer. You do obviously have final say. You can, again, customize within the platform how much human touch you would like. If you have, for example, customers who pay you pretty regularly all the time, you can decide to simply target them with an automated email once a month, and bang, you're going to get your cash in when it's due. if you have those kind of customers who need a more VIP approach and they do need a bit more high touch, you can hit them with some kind of automated touch points to give them a reminder 10 days before due, 5 days before due, etc. But you can also go ahead and edit those templates yourself. You can kind of make sure that it's really personalized. You can take out that kind of AI flavor if you need to. We have one customer, she actually likes to send kind of happy Thanksgiving messages out to her customer base. She really uses the workflows almost like a customer communications tool. She's done some, again, really creative things with it. So I think there are danger signs to look out for, as there are with any kind of new technology. We don't want to be relying on, you know, to your point, we don't want to be relying on cars when we could be walking and smelling the roses, you know, as a cynic might say. But I think it's something to be excited about overall.
Good point. Just going on from Aparna, disputes is always a great subject when we do all these kind of sessions. Adding to dispute management, as in all shared services, really, where you've got multiple teams, can this technology kind of create a joined up kind of overview, holistic view? So you've got different countries or different industry verticals, business units, and so on, that you could bring all your disputes together, you could bring all your receivables together, and credit risk, etc. So I suppose you can combine everything across different countries, different teams.
I will say, yeah. Oh, go ahead, SJ.
Sorry, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, you can really set it up the way you want. So you can have sort of individual instances for each of those different regions or countries, and then sort of have a roll-up view reporting at sort of like the parent level, in whatever that sort of parent reporting currency is. So you are going to be able to see sort of the whole view of those disputes, and then obviously you can slice and dice that in whatever way makes sense. But it will bring everything into a central point so that you can kind of see that view, and just sort of what the risk and exposure is.
I'll add to that, if I may, and something that, having worked in shared services for 20 years or more now, the question that we just answered there is exactly what shared services were set up to do in the first place, was to be able to see a holistic, regional or global view of whatever it is. So whether it's on our side, disputes, collections, cash received, whatever, accounts payable, likewise. Why so many shared services continue to go down the sort of silo route is kind of a great mystery to us in Callisto, because it doesn't make sense. The whole point of shared services when they started 30 years ago was to do exactly the question that was asked there. So that's why many opportunities are missed, because they're working within country or within silo or whichever. So it's a good question and brought up a very, very valuable point, because I think that is, and all, according to all the surveys in ABSL and SSON and so on, all the responses are that the shared service center heads want to bring value to the business. And this is the quickest way to bring value to the business, to be able to see the whole business, rather than just little bits of it here and there and working in isolation. To me, this is where the economies of scale and the values and the savings and all that are really made. So more power to you, and a good question. Thank you, as indeed are all the questions. I want to bring in a couple of other people who are very experienced and passionate about this area as well, if I may. Nicola, can I bring you in? Because I know you've got some experience in this side. If you're there, do you have any comments or observations on what's been discussed so far?
I think for me, sorry, hi Laura, Sarah Jane, thank you, Mark. The critical thing is understanding your data before the implementation starts. So making sure, one, you know what your processes are and what you want them to look like. Two, the data is clean and consistent, and what you want to pull through the system makes sense for your business. In the past, I've come across systems that the data is in multiple formats, in multiple fields. And then when you're trying to implement this kind of system to automate workflows and make everyone's life easier, actually, what you're looking at doesn't make any sense to start with. So I found it's quite valuable to invest a bit of time before an implementation project an automation project begins, just to make sure everything is where it should be and people really understand the fields that they want to bring through the system.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Nicola. I mean, that's one of the things that we always talk about. When we have a customer that's ready to sign, and they say, what makes an implementation successful? And I always say that is the very first place you need to start. Obviously, you need to make sure that your data is as clean as possible, because obviously rubbish in, rubbish out, right? So it's going to ingest that information. So that's always sort of something I task a prospective customer with, like, before you implement, make sure that the data is as clean as possible. And then also, like you also mentioned, is to kind of have an idea of what that process does or should or could look like, right? Like, what are we trying to accomplish here, so that we can dive in and get that set up the way that you envision it. So it's important to sort of have those things in the back of your mind before you even begin. And that really does improve the success chances of that implementation.
Thanks, Nicola. I'd like also to bring in Joanna. Joanna, are you still with us? Because I know this is very much your thing now. Sort of working with AI and in AR. What's your opinions and views?
Yeah, well, I cannot agree more with what Nicola just said. So everything starts with data. Actually, when the data landscape is fragmented, we have multiple ERPs, and each ERP has different data. Additionally, something is handled in Excel or other data sources. So we will not probably gain too much from AI. So everything needs to be first clean, governed, and standardized. At least in the area we are aiming to automate. So that's the first one. Also, process readiness. So the key importance before applying any automation. Even I am not saying about AI even, is to have a robust process and to understand this process, and not necessarily from SOPs only, because that many times what is written doesn't reflect reality. So that's the another factor. We need to know exactly our process, and only clear process will be a good background for automation or AI, because AI doesn't fix processes. If something is broken, AI just scales it. So that's the second factor. The third factor that I can mention is if the solution that we are trying to implement is has necessary connections. So if we are able to connect this solution with other solutions that we have already in house. So here we are tackling AI governance. So the companies who are applying multiple AI solutions, because there is no one holistic solution for entire order to cash landscape. We need to make sure that all those modules applied will be able to speak to each other, and then that it will be able to scale. Well, another factor, but this is maybe not relevant here, but maybe relevant in general. Ethics, especially sensitive area in order to cash in credit assessment. So we need to be sure that the outcome of the AI actions is not biased. So we need to understand the data we have for training, we are using for training. We need to balance them if that's needed, because, well, AI doesn't know, doesn't understand and doesn't think like we. If something is a representation of some part of the data is lower, obviously AI will not will focus on the higher representation. So we need to make sure that all this is in place. So like I said, data, connectivity, modularity, healthy process, and ethics. And this is more and more critical in current landscape, because the AI regulations are developing. So that's from my perspective.
No, it's an interesting point when you come in. I mean, I think there's a whole other presentation to be had there talking about ESG in this area as well, particularly the G, the governance piece, right? So, which is going to hit us like an express train as well. I guess perhaps just Sarah Jane, Laura, on that side of things, just what's your view on the kind of the governance kind of side, or is that one still to come in the not too distant future?
Yeah, so I think just because everything is so new at the moment with this kind of technology, governance is still, I guess, being worked out, even by people who are implementing it. Like we've seen from working with sort of public sector organizations, they, throw let's use AI, and then they sort of have to dial it back and say, oh, actually we need to do protections, we need to make sure we're not using it for this, we're not using it for this. So everywhere that AI has kind of been rolled out rapidly, everywhere there's been that enthusiastic uptake, there's been kind of the opposite reaction of protections and safeguarding almost coming later, when we kind of realize its scope and potential. So I think because it's such a new technology, for both, our customers, their customers, and ourselves as well as developers, governance is something that we're kind of always keeping an eye on. We obviously want to ensure that our environments that we're providing to our customers are safe, secure, operating within, data protection guidelines and so on and so forth. But other than that, I think the governance is kind of a play it by ear, kind of as we get further in.
I totally agree. It's all moving so fast, isn't it? But it will come, and it is one that we need to be aware of as credit professionals. We need to be aware of it. The hour has absolutely flown by. Thank you, Sarah Jane, Laura. That was a cracking session, really. You can see from the chat and the number of people that have joined us from all over the world. I think we've had people from many different places. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Sarah Jane, Laura,
Thank you.
Josh, Esther, thanks for putting it all together over the last few days. Comments, all your comments, your opinions, those of you that joined the conversation, thank you so much. As we say here, we're back again in about a month's time with our next coffee club. The recording will be available for Callisto members. Hopefully we'll see you all at our conference in October in Budapest as well. Thanks again, everybody. In the meantime, take care, stay safe, God bless, and look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thank you.